What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool news video where we may have to talk about Eddie Howe hitting back at Jurgen Klopp after Jurgen Klopp called out Newcastle, Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain. Basically after the Newcastle sporting director Dan Ashworth said, I don't think there is a ceiling on Newcastle, and Jurgen Klopp said he's absolutely right, there is no ceiling for Newcastle, congratulations, but some other clubs have ceilings, and Newcastle's owners have 10 times as much money as Manchester City's owners, which is absolutely frightening. And I don't think, when we talked about this many times before, the Premier League should allow states, countries to buy football clubs, but they have already let Man City in, so they had to let Newcastle United's owners in as well. And let me know what do you think about this, because Eddie Howe said what the sporting director meant is there is no ceiling to our ambition long term. But Eddie Howe straight up lies when he says that the reality of what we are working towards and working with, there is a ceiling for Newcastle, and that's not true, because Eddie Howe said that they are not doing anything out of the ordinary, they are doing just what other Premier League clubs are doing. But I actually checked their transfer record, and Newcastle spent 130 million euros twice in this last year, and they sold players for, wait for it, 3 million euros worth, which is absolutely astonishing that in the last 1 year Newcastle have a net spend of 257 million euros, which is like 230 million pounds or 220, not sure what the conversion rate at this time is exactly, but that's absolute nonsense that they are doing what other Premier League clubs are doing. Because nobody really outside of the top six is spending 240 million in net spend, and even the top six are not spending 240 million net on new transfers. Even Man City and Chelsea and Man United haven't spent that much in the last 1 year. And this is what Eddie Howe said, and this is just straight up lies, and he's basically defending a murderous despot dictatorship regime that owns his football club. And I don't have any problem with Eddie Howe. He's a great manager who is doing brilliant work, but of course he is not a philanthropist or such, and he's just a football manager. But he has to take responsibility because he is representing Saudi Arabia and their regime by being the manager of Newcastle United, and it should be the Saudi Arabia owners, Newcastle owners from Saudi Arabia, who are going to answer these questions. But of course they won't go public to the media. It's Eddie Howe who has to answer for his questions. But this is what Eddie Howe said: we are not living that life that is being discussed. We are living a very different reality. Our wage bill is very controlled. We are trying to do things in a very stable and controlled way. Oh really, Eddie Howe? Spending 240 million pounds in 1 year net spend is doing it in a controlled way? Absolute nonsense. And I want to call out this because not many people are writing about this in the media. And yes, Newcastle made some sensible transfers, don't get me wrong, and they are building up the football club, but to say that they are following financial fair play rules, Eddie Howe said, and they are doing things nothing out of the ordinary, is a straight up lie, and it's just not true. No other Premier League club can spend 240 million pounds net in 1 year like that. It's absolutely crazy. Maybe Man United can do it 1 year, but even they couldn't sustain this. So it's absolutely not true what Eddie Howe is saying. And this is what I have a problem with. Eddie Howe said, and I quote him, "We have spent money on players. It has not been extravagant or out of sync with the rest of the Premier League." Oh really? Tell me another club who spent 237 million pounds net in the last year, in the last 1 year. Tell me one club. Everyone has to be careful with their comments and opinions. And this is what I have a problem with. Eddie Howe is defending the murderous dictatorship regime that he is representing. And Eddie Howe is only standing up for his football club, but he has to realize that now he has blood on his hands, because Saudi Arabia murdered and chopped up a journalist, among other things, and they have an atrocious human rights record. So for Eddie Howe to come out and say that they are not doing anything out of the ordinary and they are just following rules and regulations is absolute nonsense. The Premier League has a lot looser financial fair play rule than UEFA. But if Newcastle qualify for Europe, then they will have a real problem, because UEFA's financial fair play rules are a lot stricter than the Premier League's financial fair play rules. And we know that the Premier League is a joke. They haven't punished Man City yet after investigating them for 3 years for financial fair play breaches. And UEFA probably won't do anything as well, because Newcastle will just get around it by doing fake sponsorship deals. It has already started. Newcastle have a sleeve sponsor which is paying them more than £10 million per season, and that is more than twice of what any other club outside of the top 6 earns for a sleeve sponsor in the Premier League. So Newcastle apparently are worth twice as much as somebody like Aston Villa, who have as big a fan base as Newcastle. So let me break down Newcastle's spending. Last season they signed Bruno Guimaraes for £40 million. They signed Chris Wood for around 25 million. Joe Willock for another 25 million. They signed Dan Burn for 14 million, Kieran Trippier for 12 million, and they didn't sell anybody for money. They released some players, but last season they didn't get any transfer fees in. And then in the summer transfer window, they signed Alexander Isak for 70 million euros, which is around 65 million pounds. They signed Sven Botman for 34 million pounds. They signed Matt Target for around 15 million pounds, Nick Pope for around 10 million pounds. So in total, they spent 266 million euros. I'm not sure how much is that in pounds, but around 240 million pounds. And they loaned out Martin Dubravka to Man United for a loan fee of 2.3 million euros. And that's it. That's their incoming from transfers or loan deals. That's it. So it's absolutely crazy to say that Newcastle is not doing anything out of the ordinary. And actually I looked it up. Since the start of the new year, so since 2022 began, Newcastle have the biggest net spend out of everybody, of all the clubs in the Premier League, bigger than Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, bigger than anyone. 211 million pounds. Chelsea are second in net spend with 200 million pounds. Man United are third with 196 million pounds. Tottenham are fourth with 148 million pounds. These are all net spend transfers since January the 1st, so the last 2 transfer windows. West Ham have a net spend of 147 million pounds, which is pretty surprising that West Ham spent as much as Tottenham. Nottingham Forest amazingly have a net spend of 143 million, and Arsenal are behind Tottenham. Behind Tottenham, and they are behind Nottingham Forest, and they are behind West Ham as well in net spend, because I guess they sold quite a lot of players for a lot of money. So Arsenal have a net spend of 98 million, Wolves have 76 million, then Southampton, Aston Villa, and Liverpool are in the bottom half of the table in 11th place for net spend, and they have a 51 million net spend. Of course, they signed Darwin Nunez for big money, but they also sold Sadio Mane for 28.8 million. And what is crazy is that Leicester's net spend is minus 58 million pounds. So they earned 58 million pounds more than what they spent on transfers, which is crazy. So Leicester sold a lot of players for a lot of money, but they didn't really invest that money back into their squad, and they are struggling this season. I don't really know why Leicester haven't invested that money into their squad, because they surely needed a few other players in their squad. And James Pearce, the Liverpool-based journalist, said that Anfield absolutely loved every minute of Darwin Nunez's performance against Newcastle. He wreaked havoc on the West Ham defense. First goal at Anfield, he properly arrived at Liverpool, and he also has in his last 3 starts 3 goals. He scored against Arsenal, he scored against Rangers, and now he scored against West Ham. His adaptation is gathering pace, and Jurgen Klopp's reassurance and the support of Darwin Nunez's teammates has eased the nerves, and he's now looking a little bit more calm and relaxed, and his speed was devastating, and the ferocious shots that he had, especially the one that hit the post, that reminded me of Luis Suarez. And if Darwin Nunez gets his finishing right, he will score a bucket load of goals, because he not only makes himself chances, he makes brilliant runs in behind the defense. And Darwin Nunez also, even though he's a very tall player, he clocked the fastest speed in the Premier League this season out of all the players. More than 38 kilometers per hour. That was recorded against West Ham United. So Darwin Nunez is the fastest player in the Premier League officially this season by the data, which is absolutely brilliant, and I'm absolutely buzzing for him. I'm so happy. Many of the pundits, many of the experts have ruled him out. Basically, they already have written him off. They said that some people said that he's a championship level defender and striker, and some people said that he will never come good for Liverpool. How can you do that? After just 2 months to a striker, when he's settling in a new country, new language, new city that he's living in a new team, playing totally different tactics, totally different systems, totally different playing styles to Benfica, and you judge him on 3 or 4 games that he played? I don't understand how some of these pundits have written him off, and probably they just want to see Liverpool fail, because they want to see Liverpool spending 70 million on a striker, and they want to be proven that Liverpool wasted all that money. But I mean, a 22, 23-year-old striker coming into a new league, new team, you always give the first season to him and be very, very patient for him, and you don't judge him on the first 3 or 4 games, especially after he got sent off. It was a very up and down start to his Liverpool career, but now that he's settled, I think he's showing his true value. And Jurgen Klopp said that Darwin Nunez scoring his first goal at Anfield is very important to him and his confidence. He has scored now a couple of times in the last few games. He arrived 100% in the team, and now even with numbers, which is fine. He felt a little bit the muscles at half time, Darwin Nunez, but it was all fine. And after 5 minutes of the second half, Jurgen Klopp said, I was just a bit concerned about long sprints for him and balls where he stretches his legs. I thought, we cannot take that risk, and that's why we took him off, because Liverpool already lost Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz to injuries, and we somehow have to get through this period until the World Cup starts, so until November, the middle of November. So we still have almost 1 month of football left to play, and we are already without Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota. So we have Firmino, Salah, Darwin Nunez, Fabio Carvalho, Harvey Elliott, who can play as attackers, but yeah, just the 3 who are really world class in that position, and Carvalho and Harvey Elliott are probably 19-year-old young players who we didn't want to play in almost every game. We wanted to pick our moment when we put them in, but because Liverpool have so many injuries in the attacking positions, we have to play them a lot more. Maybe that will help their development. We shall wait and see. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.